what your initial
Hmm.
experiences, were when
Sure.
you joined.
So and I don't know if you probably don't even have my resume, but I actually joined Neurocrine back in 2005, and as they were going to launch their first commercial force to sell a product called Indaplan, which was for sleep. And while I was
Okay.
there, we co-promoted Zoloft with Pfizer, and Pfizer was going to also promote Indaplan once it was approved. And during my time there, it was probably, we all were pinching ourselves because it was like the greatest culture company that I'd ever worked for. The management and leadership is all, they're all the no sock wearing West Coast leadership style, very, pharmaceuticals is highly regulated, and it's all, where that ties, tight as you can get it type of thing. And Neurocrine was more just a laid back, again, kind of California West Coast style. But unfortunately, the drug got a non-approvable by the FDA. So they unfortunately had to let the entire sales force go. And I can't remember how many of us there were at the time, maybe 150. But as they let us go, you talk about treating us like royalty. I mean, they hooked us up with headhunters. They kind of put together like just a way to network with each other, and feed off each other's leads and things like that. So as you can imagine, when I left there and unfortunately they let us go, I was devastated. But anyway, I got back into pharmaceuticals. I went to work for a company called Boehringer Ingelheim, and spent most of my career there. And I won't bore you with some of this stuff because I'll get it right back to Neurocrine here. But I ended up getting out of the industry for a couple of years, and I kind of didn't like traveling so much, missing my kids. So I got back in it and went with a company called Avanir. And the reason why I bring up Avanir is because while at Avanir, it was released that Neurocrine was going to go ahead and try another run at a commercial, force with the tardive dyskinesia Ingrezza product. And I was like, okay, I am going back there come hell or high water, because that was the greatest company ever. And I went through the interview process. I interviewed with I'll let's back up just a second. A lot of Avanir people had, and I didn't know this at the time actually, but a lot of them had went to Neurocrine. I think it started with Eric Benovich, went over there as the COO. He was the first one that I was aware of. And then Denise Prenville went over to Neurocrine. She in turn brought over a handful of managers. They in turn brought over, a handful of reps. I didn't really have an in that way. I went old school and just interviewed. But, I'm sure you guys have been down this road. I mean, anytime you're passionate about something, and I was very passionate about Neurocrine, that kind of, it sells you pretty good, So obviously I got the job. Was excited to be back with them. But the product, Ingrezza, is a product that is huge in your community mental health centers. And the reason why I say that is because your community mental health centers are going to be the places where your population is using a lot of generics, which in turn, the old, antipsychotics is what caused tardive dyskinesia. So obviously that's where your bulk your business is going to be, in those community mental health centers. Well, about probably within 3 months out in the field after launch, I knew